If you caught this morning's 6-Minute Daily, you'll probably already know that this wasn't the video I planned on doing today. Normally, or as planned I should say, would have been a video on YouTube and Disney and a few other places, and some data-driven decision-making that's done not only for films and television shows, but also in the physical world. And while I want to get that video done, it's 20 minutes or so long, it's going to wait until Wednesday in favor of this. Box office woes are not over. Movies that are having very soft to mediocre openings are being praised. The example of this at the moment is the meh opening of the new Jason Statham film called Wrath of Man, which looked like a pretty cool film. Many had hoped for a bunch of big summer entries to bring back the theatrical earnings as the theaters expand their capacity. And there are many films that could certainly bring in money at the end of the year, but for some reason, not as many as you would expect for the summer. As for what I think they will be lucky to hit 60% of what 2019 did as far as the domestic theatrical earnings for the year. And I think that the same expectation of 60% should probably be considered for the global box office as well, even though China seems to be doing rather well right now as they are fully open and operating at capacity. So let's take a look at summer blockbuster earnings and what our expectations should be, shall we? Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, hiss and foes, welcome to the Culture Casino!
Films have been back for a little bit now. Well, at least as the time I'm shooting this particular video. We've even had a return to, some form of normal film earnings with a film like Godzilla vs. Kong yielding what you would have expected in a normal year, at least as far as the theatric domestic gross being pretty near $100 million. Pretty impressive, and beating expectations by quite a bit. In fact, in an article by Scott over at Forbes, he hits some very accurate points when it comes to film performance. If a film like Wrath of Man plays out flat, which it seems to be set to do, it'll still be considered a success. I don't know how, but he goes on to explain. And while I don't agree with his assessment of the numbers or any of his take in almost any of this article, I do think that we need more business as usual as far as performance goes, at least with theatrically released films. To that end, what do we have to look forward to this summer? And I think ComScore analyst Paul Garabedian has the right idea about what's going to happen. I think it's a very clear thought process. In an article that's on the Wrap right now, as you can see, he basically says that big openings may not be in the cards for quite some time. I agree with that completely. The films will just have much longer legs, which I also agree with completely. His expectations for the biggest openings are somewhere around 75 to 80 million. Of course, these are the biggest blockbusters that could be released this summer, which there aren't many of. I also think that's a bit high, so maybe not in full agreement there. With some disappointing buzz around Fast and Furious 9, or F9, we'll just say from now on, and some less than flattering word of mouth for Black Widow, I think the ceiling is probably closer to 65 to 70 million on an opening for either of these two films. To be fair, this would still be pretty good, and it's likely that these films' theatrical legs will be much longer, because, again, limiting capacity means audiences have a longer period of time to go see the film, more word-of-mouth time to spread, possibly making the film, more popular, just because of its slow burn, right? I think word-of-mouth will help these films, but I still think it could hurt these films. In the case of Black Widow, Disney is likely headed into some flop territory. I mean, not just a couple. I mean, more than a few. In the next 2 years, I think you'll see Morbius, which will likely bomb outright, and The Eternals, which will probably be a bomb at the end of this year, and films like Cruella are likely to have very poor showings. I don't think Cruella is going to do very well, and I think they're going to figure out that they can't keep doing remakes, but hey, I could be wrong. The tipping point actually for success here in the summer for Disney in the Marvel universe is, of course, Black Widow, which is opening on July 9th. Now, Black Widow, as many have pointed out, including yours truly, is a film that should have been made 6 years ago, or 4 years ago, or 2 years ago. So it's long overdue at this point. Her story is already wrapped up. We already know the end, and any attempts to reboot the character are borderline ridiculous at this point. Yet, of course, they will try. So interest in this film is lower because of poor timing. Put Black Widow where Captain Marvel was released, and you have an even more successful film. One that replaces something that is deeply divisive with a lot of fans. And especially the way it was deceptively marketed. But hey, that's a different video. So far, the early word isn't good here, as far as Black Widow is concerned, and there's a decent chance that this film will fall short of the very lofty expectations that it's been given. And I expect a $40 to $45 million opening for this film. It may open higher. It may generate some buzz. There might be something positive that comes out of it. I don't know. I don't expect it to. The projections for this film back when it was supposed to originally release were lowered consistently going into its initial release date. That's never a good sign for a film. And again, like I said, I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. Also, we will likely never know how successful the film is overall because the Disney Plus day and date release stuff with the premium that they charge over on Disney Plus, those earnings will be touted as wildly successful. But there will be no real transparency on what that actually means, which really bothers me. So, don't get me wrong, I wanted a good Black Widow film. I think I've said so many times. I just don't think we got it here. And some other people agree with me. And let me tell you, I would be happy to eat those words. I would happy to be able to take those back and say, wow, Black Widow was surprisingly good. Again, I don't think I will have to. Getting back to the Universal release of the F9 film, right? And I'm actually not sure that the June 25th date, as far as its opening, wasn't a genius move. In fact, there is nothing close to the film as far as star power and popcorn fun. I think it releases the same time as Cruella, which is going to make the earnings of that film much lower. And if audiences are willing to check out their brains, at least check them at the door for, the 2 hours of fun that this film might be, this could open around 70 to 75 million. Bigger than Black Widow. And it'll benefit from 2 weeks with basically no competition and lots of word of mouth. And again, those longer legs that, these reduced capacity circumstances will create. My global expectations for this film is closer to 800 million when it's all said and done because the China opening, I think, is going to be big. In fact, right now, they're supporting several films outright just by themselves that are in the multiple hundreds of millions of dollars. So I think it'll be pretty big. The balance of the summer season films are also rans for the most part, and this leaves bigger films lots of room to run on those longer legs, like I said. So let's face it, outside of maybe the Hitman's Bodyguard's Wife thing, whatever, that sequel that is coming up, and the In the Heights musical that has some buzz for some people, there just aren't a ton of exciting films on the horizon, at least not until the end of the summer. And I don't think you'll start to see a pickup in the real box office until late August. I wonder why that is. But hey, I've gone on long enough. I have to find out, what do you think? Do you think the domestic box office hits 60% of 2019, or do you think it will be more than that? put your thoughts and comments down below and I'll try to get to them as quickly as possible. Also, be sure to check out other independent creators here on the platform. They can certainly use your support. You have great content coming out of just a giant volume of creators. I cannot believe how many great voices we have added over the course of the last year. So do check them out. Do throw them as much support as you can. Make sure you comment on their videos, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the bell, do all of the things, and you will help them defeat the algorithm. Other than that, I'll end the video the same way that I always do. Be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, because it's good hygiene. It is. And until next time, bye.
Thanks for visiting today. Be sure you're subscribed and hit that for alerts.
Yay!
Of course, like and share all of the videos that you can as it helps with the algorithm. Have a great day.